our la-las into our meditation as we close our eyes just for a few minutes to become fully present. Taking a few nice, slow, deep breaths and letting each breath bless you, fill you, open you. When we take a moment to pause and to breathe and to still our mind, we have access to the infinite flow of divine love. And we find it in our hearts. We might find at times that our hearts are broken or closed or feeling too much love, joy. That's because the heart is the instrument, the conduit of love. And the beauty is that it already contains all the love we could possibly need to live a happy, fulfilling life. So today we notice how we withhold love or block love or open to it more and more as we grow and learn and mature and practice our spiritual practices. And we notice it without judgment. Just notice. And this always tells us when there's more room to receive love from within and when there's more room to give it away. Knowing that the more we give it away, the more we receive. So let your heart be still today and open. Take another breath. And then gently and slowly bring your attention back to the moment. When you're ready, if you wish, open your eyes. Good morning. Look at all these beautiful, shining faces. Welcome to Center for Spiritual Living, Morristown. I'm the spiritual director, Frankie. And we are a spiritual community that's all about the science of mind teaching. We're all about teaching people to awaken to the magnificence that is already within them. And so no matter where you've been, what's happened to you, who you are, what you are, where you are in life, we welcome you. And we're a place for love, a place for you to discover that your belonging happens inside, which is what I'm going to talk about today. And we have some wonderful music with our beloved Jackie Jones. And we have a brand new accompaniment for her. His name is Oscar Perez. And if you want to know a whole lot more about him, you just go to his website, OscarPerezMusic.com, where he has some of his CDs as well. So next time he's going to bring them, right? So I have a lot to say about Oscar, but what I want to tell you is that he's a New York City native and has shared the stage with jazz legends Bunky Green, George Russell, and Curtis Fuller. He had studied at the University of North Florida, New England Conservative, and Aaron Copland School of Music, and he served under the guidance of Danilo Perez and Sir Roland Hanna, respectively. Since he's moved back to New York, he has played with many musical groups. He's on the faculty for Montclair State University, a jazz house kids based in Montclair, and he's been also an educator at Carnegie Hall, the Kupferberg Center at Queens College, and jazz at Lincoln Center. He's also a recipient of the 2006 ASCAP IAJE Commission in honor of Billy Strayhorn. And he does have TV, so check him out on his website. Let's give him a really warm welcome. Thank you for being here, Oscar. So, we have a little surprise. Every 3 months, we celebrate one of our magnificent volunteers. And that day is today. This person is going to be totally surprised. And somebody who loves him very much had to keep that secret. So Andrew Benedict, come on up. You are the seasonal famous superstar. She didn't surprise you. She didn't tell you in her dreams. So Andrew is involved in all kinds of really cool things at the center that you might not notice. He created the beautiful ad we have in Natural Awakenings. He's on the marketing team. He's done so many things. He's an amazing pastry chef. How many of you are experiencing his pastry? Yeah, to die for, to live for. Seasonal Saver Superstar, April 2018, Andrew Benedict. Thanks for all you are and all you do. Your love for our center is a gift and a blessing to all. And now when you come in late, there'll be a parking space for you. Yes, it's the volunteer parking space. We are going to replace the signs, but you'll know which one it is, because she knows which one it is. Congratulations. We love you, Emily. All right, that's always a fun thing to do, to have somebody help keep a secret and get them here. So, let's do what we always do so well at our center. Return to the root of the root of the root of our practices, spiritual mind treatment, which is our word for affirmative prayer. So I invite you to close your eyes and open your heart, open your mind, open your body, and know this. There is a power and a presence that is everywhere, in everyone, everything, all the time. This power and this presence cannot really be described, because the moment we describe it, it already seems limiting. But it is greater than anything, greater than anyone, greater than any challenge, any burden. It is the life force itself that is so visible when we look at Mother Nature today, or yesterday, for that matter. When we see nature coming back to life, it's that life force that is so predictable that we make sure that we notice that every spring flowers shall bloom, every winter snow comes, every fall the leaves change. That utter predictability is the life force in us, keeping us balanced and aligned. And all that is asked of us is to surrender, to align with that life force, to remember that it works for us, always. It works in us. It works through us. And what we use to make sure we stay aligned is our consciousness, is our mind, is our heart, the love that is already in us, that is able to absorb that much good, that much grace, that much wisdom. So today we remember this, and we allow love to have its way with us. We let it sweep away anything that's in the way, whether we're aware of it or not. And we remember to stay open to this life force, this divine flow that is always taking place in ways that are for our highest and best. And for that, we can only be deeply grateful. And so it is. So, April, the theme so far has been where humanity and divinity meet. And so the first Sunday, which happened to be Easter, we talked about how the Easter story is really about our aliveness and how we can become more alive by taking ourselves off the cross, the cross being spirit descending into matter, spirit becoming form, and our journey of our human evolution, our human awakening. And then a week later, last week, I talked about how we're always more than we think we are. We're always more than what we're experiencing physically, what we're experiencing in the world, what we see on the news. We're always more than that. And the more is what we must identify with. More if we want to have that experience of being awake as spiritual beings. And today, the topic is at home in the heart. And I want to talk about an equation. Yes, there is a little math and science to mind. The equation that most students, most of you who've taken classes are quite familiar with. It's thought plus feeling equals action, demonstration, manifestation. That very simple equation that we forget whenever we find ourselves struggling. So struggle is just forgetting that thought plus feeling equals manifestation. So I want to talk a little bit more about that today. There is something that happens when the mind and the heart are congruent, when they're aligned. There's something that happens when you're thinking something powerful and beautiful and magnificent, and you're also feeling it. That's often the challenge, because we suffer and we're challenged when our thinking and our feeling is different. So we might say, oh, I really would love to have a more abundant life, but I feel so broken. I feel so poor. I feel lack. Or, I know I should exercise, but I'd rather watch something on Netflix. Or eat my favorite food. Those are simple examples, right? But I think we all have the awareness, or enough awareness, to know where our mind and our heart are congruent and where they aren't. It requires paying attention. It requires listening. It requires being honest and truthful with ourselves, because that's the most powerful place to start. So we might hear some news and feel afraid. You can't go, la, 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 I'm not afraid, because the fear will still be there. But when we allow ourselves to be afraid and we surrender it to the love that is already in our hearts, then it can be transformed. Then it can become something new. Then we can choose how to think about it. And so we have to pay attention to incongruence inside of us and keep bringing it back to congruence. And so there's a meeting place where that happens. And I believe that meeting place is in the heart. And I believe that's the place we least visit, we least hang out in. Because our mind tends to be overactive. And we tend to be distracted. I too get distracted. I left the stove on again yesterday. And my normie wasn't happy. And so I said, we have to come up with a solution. And I said, I was distracted. And I knew exactly why I was distracted. So he came up with a solution. There's now a fines jar. Every time I leave the stove on, I have to put $20 there. That hurts me. I'd rather spend that on something really lovely. So if I leave the screen door open, which I did as well, it's $10. If I leave the lights on, it's only $2. If I leave candles burning, it's $30. Yeah, so those are all things that have happened. It's a good thing I feel very protected and safe in life. So the question is, not the question, I'm going to come back. The answer is, the truth is, that there is a universal love that we say is everywhere present. But this love can only be experienced in our own heart. And isn't it interesting that we look for it everywhere before we go to the heart and find it within our own heart? And so I want to share a little bit how we can have greater access to our own heart, because there is this love that is infinite, that is unconditional, that is universal, that is God's love, that is fully formed, fully present, fully accessible in our hearts right now. The only thing blocking it is in your mind, because there is no block. The only block that we're experiencing is what we say about it, what we believe about it, what our conditioning has been about it. Scott, will you turn it down a little bit? It's like loud in my ears. Is it loud? Okay, great. The mystery of the microphone is still unfolding. And so what we then practice is, when we find that we're looking for love in all the wrong places, that there is only one place to go, and it's to go right into the heart, and to listen, and to pay attention, and to say, "Hey heart, how are you, buddy?" To listen to the heart and to ask, "How are you?" And to listen for the answer. I'm not going to do a poll, but my guess is that we don't do that enough. That we don't sit still enough and listen to our hearts. And check and see if there's congruence between the truth that the infinite love of the universe resides right in your heart and how you feel. And so Ernest Holmes says so beautifully, love is within us. It cannot be destroyed. It cannot be ignored. To the extent that we abandon love, we will feel it has abandoned us. Denying love is our only problem, and embracing it the only answer. Through the power of love, we can let go of past history. Did you hear that? Through the power of love, we can let go of past history and begin again. Love heals, forgives, and makes whole. Love heals, forgives, and makes whole. So we must pay attention to how love loves us and how we block it. And you know what? The easiest way to do that is to let it reflect back to you as you look into the world. As you pay attention to your experiences. Your relationships, your experiences, your life will tell you how you let in love and how you block it. The most important thing there is that we do that with love. Because it's easy to say, "Oh, I'm such an idiot. What's wrong with me?" But to even do that with love. And so, love is given. I think we're so afraid of unconditional, infinite love because we're afraid we're just going to burst. It's just going to kill us. It's just too much that we keep it at bay. And then we experience the result of that. So now we know that we don't have to look for love anywhere. We don't have to look to it to our parents, whether dead or alive, to our partners, to our friends, to food, to alcohol, to drugs, to caffeine, to sugar, to whatever. We now know that it is found within and it's waiting for our connection. It's waiting to heal us. It's waiting to restore us. It's waiting to meet our needs. And so it's important that we learn to be at home in our hearts. Anyone who ever feels homeless, anyone who ever feels they don't belong, anyone who ever feels that they're lost, are the ones who are looking to fill that emptiness in the heart from the outside in. When we do it from the outside, from the inside out, we know that we're always at home. And we can always feel at home in the heart. It's in our hearts that we find that perfect place of belonging. It's not about belonging to someone else, belonging to your family, belonging to the world. Because we're all kind of like spiritual misfits. A little bit. Just a little bit, right? We're all kind of like we don't fit in, right? That's because we find that fitting, that sense of belonging, inside our hearts. And how beautiful is that? So it's the heart where you go to heal. When you're sick, you go to a doctor. When you break a bone, you go to a surgeon. When you have a toothache, you go to a dentist. When you need a good haircut or coloring, which I always suffer from, you go to a hairdresser, right? And on and on and on. We go to our hearts when we need to experience emotional and mental healing. That's the gift of this teaching. And if you don't know what to do there, then there is assistance. We have 5 practitioners at our center who are waiting for you to call. They're waiting for you to support and assist you. They have been trained to help you listen to your heart, to see where you're blocked, and to break through those blocks with spiritual mind treatment, affirmative prayer. They're powerful. They're safe. They have an ethical code. And they are truly there to help you see what you might not be seeing. There's 2 sitting right here. And so it's so important that when we feel burdened in any way, that we stop, slow down, listen to our hearts, go to the source of love, which is infinite, and let that restore us, and guide us, and heal us. And so, if you need restoring, there's something else that happens. I love that the word story is in restoring. We have to pay attention to the stories we tell. And notice whether those are things we want. Because the more you tell your story, the more you're saying you want that story. Then it requires us to think about that story in a different way so we're not lying. You know, it's not like if you're jobless, your story might be, I can't find a job, I can't find a job, I can't find a job, which by the way is a prayer. But you might have to think about saying it in a different way. I am on the path of finding my perfect employment. It's still telling the truth, but it's telling a different story, because when you're talking, you're telling the universe what it is that you are, and what it is that you're doing, and what it is that you want. And so you have to think about how you speak that story. And practitioners can help you with that. So when somebody comes to me for spiritual mind treatment or spiritual counseling, of course they're going to tell their story, their burdens, and then I help them tell a different story. And then we use spiritual mind treatment to activate that new story. And so we don't just tell a new story, but we tell a different one. I have one. God, it's always one that just gets to me. I have permission to tell you this story and to read this quote. From Alvin Reed. I have permission to give you his name. He's one of the men in jail that I meet when I go to teach meditation, which many of you know that come here is an incredibly powerful experience for me. I go twice a month, and I hang out with the guys, and we meditate. I teach them about meditation. So Alvin came for the first time, and we did several practices. He came by himself. We did several practices together. And then he opened his eyes, and he said, I just remembered a thought that came to me when I was in solitary confinement for 3 months. I used that time to meditate and to surrender to God and to listen to God, because I believed there was a reason why I was in prison, why I did what I did and how I got there, and why I was in solitary confinement. He remembered the quote when we were meditating together because he forgot it. And I wrote it down. It's a matter of higher calling, often overlooked by the primitive, because of a problem of focus. What appears to be a physical defeat is really us gaining the heart of our strength and the strength of our heart. Let me read it again. It's a matter of a higher calling, often overlooked by the primitive because of a problem of focus. What appears to be a physical defeat is really us gaining the heart of our strength and the strength of our heart. That's in my pocket, like all the time. And so what he's saying is, we all have a higher calling. The question is, are you living it, or are you living your lower calling? I know the temptation of following our lower calling. Believe me. I know what that's like, but it's a choice. And I think we live at a time where we have to make a choice. And I would say all of us would choose a higher calling. That means that we have to step out of that little self and step into our bigger self. Put our big boy, big girl panties on. Right? It's what we long for anyway. We long for that bigger, higher calling anyway. That's why we're here. Then we have to follow it by paying attention, by listening to our hearts, by telling the story and be done with it and tell a bigger story, and by speaking it into being. I had the pleasure this weekend to participate in a bat mitzvah. So there was a Jewish Hebrew teacher who was brilliant. One of these days I'm going to have her come here, and a trip and a half, and me. And we spent about October, November, December, January, February, about 6 months preparing for this. It was so incredibly special. On Friday was the ceremony, and yesterday was the party for the kids, and a few of us were invited. They had food trucks as the food, which was so cool. I have never been to a bat mitzvah. This was like beyond any wedding I've been to. Well, maybe not Gina and Keith, who were married a year ago. So I looked for a poem, and I found a poem that's so perfect for today, that was written by a rabbi, by a Reconstructionist. It's a Reconstructionist Judaism prayer book for the Sabbath. That's where the poem comes from, by Rabbi Rami Shapiro. So I want you to close your eyes, and I want you to receive this poem as if it is your heart speaking to you, and you are the most receptive you have ever been. We are loved by an unending love. We are embraced by arms that find us, even when we are hidden from ourselves. We are touched by fingers that soothe us, even when we are too proud for soothing. We are counseled by voices that guide us, even when we are too embittered to hear. We are loved by an unending love. We are supported by hands that uplift us, even in the midst of a fall. We are urged on by eyes that meet us, even when we are too weak for meeting. We are loved by an unending love, embraced, touched, soothed, and counseled. Ours are the arms, the fingers, the voices. Ours are the hands, the eyes, the smiles. We are loved by an unending love. Hello again. When Dr. Frankie told me the topic for today's talk, I immediately felt compelled to share my story. Because it is a story about listening. It's a story about going within and tuning in with the divinity that is within us. Because where humanity
and divinity is right within. 2 years ago, I was diagnosed with a disease called ankylosing spondylitis. And this disease affects the joints, and it affects the spine. It causes inflammation. And what happens to the spine is that the ligaments calcify and the bones that interlock become one whole bone. From the neck to the back, one solid bone. When that happens, the person cannot move, cannot bend. It causes curvature of the spine. It attacks the organs, the heart, and the eyes. So for the these 2 past years, I have been living with this medical report. And I have been in a lot of pain, physical pain, to the point that my rheumatologist, who's a specialist, said that it was time to move to another treatment. But the problem with this treatment is that the medicine is so strong that they told me that my immune system will get compromised. They warned me to be careful getting sick, to be careful with getting any coughs, because I will get very sick. They also said that some people who took this medicine got lymphoma. And so this was very painful and very challenging and scary. But I truly believe in the principles of this teaching, the silence of mind teaching. I believe in affirmative prayer. I believe in meditation. I believe in getting very quiet and listening to that still small voice within. Because I know that that still small voice is the divine in me. And so, even though I struggled and I was scared and I was in pain, for these 2 years I continued doing my spiritual work. And I did my spiritual work around healing. Every time I treated, every time I asked for treatment, it was for healing. So I received this medication. It's in my refrigerator because it has their injection that has to be injected in the stomach, and it has to be refrigerated. Before starting this new treatment, what happened is that every time I told someone about this medicine, and every time I thought about this treatment, something in me was telling me there's something wrong. I got palpitations, I got this uneasiness. It was like something was telling me, don't take it. And one morning while I was doing my meditation, I heard this voice that said, you have to see another doctor. And so that same day, I called the doctor. They told me, we just had a cancellation for 2 days. You'll be able to be here at 3:30. And this doesn't happen because these specialists are so busy. I called all the doctors and they gave me 2 months appointments in 2 months, and I needed to see a rheumatologist the same week because my treatment was going to start the following week. And so I made it to this doctor, and I told him about the treatment that I was about to start, and he said, this medicine will kill you. I do not prescribe this medication to my patients, and I don't understand why your doctor chose that medicine when there are other medicines that can help you. He changed my prescription, and since I started taking this prescription, the pain went away. And in the morning, my body used to be very rigid, very stiff. I don't have that anymore. And then he said, I want you to come back and bring me your x-ray. Because I brought him the written report. He said, this doesn't mean anything. I need to see the actual x-ray. I went back last week, my birthday, and my husband went with me. And he studied my x-rays. Everything, my spine, my bones, my joints, my feet, everything, all my x-rays. He took a long time. And then he said, Lucy, there is no indication in this x-ray that says that you have that disease. You do not have ankylosis spondylitis. You do have some bone spurs here, but with the right medication, some exercises for your neck, and a good pillow, you will feel better. Can you imagine if I took that medication? Now, this is a big healing demonstration. But this didn't happen to me because I got lucky. It did not happen to me because I'm so pretty. It happened. This healing manifestation happened because I did my spiritual work. Because I went to my heart. I listened. I tuned in with the divine that is within me. I followed. And because I prayed. And so, my message to you is, whatever it is that you're going through, a bad medical report, financial crisis, a bad relationship, anything, take it within and listen, because the answer is always there. And most importantly, when you treat, when you pray, when you do your affirmative prayers, get in the feeling tone for what you want to manifest. Because like Dr. Frankie spoke today, thought plus feeling equals manifestation. Thank you.
It's been incredible to watch Lucy grow and to watch her go through this and to watch her keep her faith. What an inspiration. So what I want you to do is, as you close your eyes, I want you to think about and feel at the same time. Think about what it means to surrender to love. Let yourself feel that. If you can't feel it, just imagine it. And then choose something that you want to surrender. Something that doesn't serve you anymore. And I want you to just think about and imagine the feeling of surrendering it to love. The love that is already in your heart. To bring it to the altar of love inside of you. To release it. Let's know this. In the presence of love, anything and everything is possible. In the presence of love, we are open to healing. In the presence of love, we find that inherent joy that is already in our hearts. In the presence of love, we are restored to our original story, the one that says, you are whole, perfect, and complete. You are created in the image and likeness of the divine. You are blessed. You are magnificent. You are here to live a happy, fulfilling life. You are here to live your purpose. So today we let love be our heart. We let it be our home. We let it be our thoughts. We let it be our movements. We let it be our expression. We let it be our point of view. And we let that love dissolve whatever is in the way with ease and grace. For we are worthy. So with gratitude for the remembering that we have experienced today, that life is simple. It's about surrendering to love. We are grateful for the spiritual community, this beautiful teaching called Science of Mind, the music, all the words spoken, and everything that we have experienced. Mostly we're grateful for what we leave behind, for what we don't take with us, knowing that it shall be transformed in the energy that is already here in this room. And so it is. Have a great day, everybody, and a beautiful week.